back, y'all. Yeah, feeling a little bit refreshed. Let me just go ahead and get up real quick. Do a quick stretch. Oh my goodness. I just walked straight into that tree. Stretch the legs. We got a 40-minute, as you know, we got 3 minutes, 3-minute intros, So if you are unfamiliar with how we, start these and how we get down, give me about 3 minutes time to just kind of, get things set up. Because we're gonna be sitting for a while. So we may as well get loose. It's a nice day. I feel like every day that I come here, I'm parked in a different spot. We might just get right to it, man. We may not even hit the 3-minute mark, man. We may just get straight to it. May get straight to it after 1 minute, 2 minutes. Nah. All right, so as you know, got the handy dandy notebook. We've been writing in this since 2014. It's not a lot, but it's a couple diaries here and there. Damn, that's a big ass ant. Um, yeah, man. Just a lot of cool things in here. Talking about school, Sora, AI, discipline, distractions, merch ideas, the overdose. I don't even know what this is about. Maybe it was a skit. But anyways, what we do for this is as we read Daniel Goleman's Focus, for part one or chapter one, chapter two. Now we're on chapter three. We basically take a little bit of time to write down the words in each column. And then on the side, I will be going back through each of these words and making a short. Um, and just hold me to it. Right now we're like at like 30 words, so I need to go ahead and start cranking those out. But I'm excited for today's lesson. Yesterday I didn't have my shades; it wasn't as bright. But today I'm gonna have them on, just to mix things up. But anyways, yeah. So if you're new here and you like this series, go back, check out the other videos. They're about 40 minutes each. We try to do, maybe like 10, 20 pages underneath like an hour. It's a lot of material to cover. And it's also that I'm yapping back and forth as though, people are here. This is an unlisted live, and we're doing this in secrecy. So this is um the unlisted secret series. So, anyways, right here at the 3-minute mark, let's go ahead and get it started. Boom. Attention, top and bottom. I turn my attention to the study of some arithmetic. Oh boy, they already got us. Arithmetic, arithmetical, boy. You know what I'm saying? We might just look this one up just to get the pronunciation. Oh my goodness! And if the pen don't work, I'm gonna be mad. Arithmetical. I can't even say it properly, but I understand the root words, arithmetic, but arithmetical questions. Okay. Apparently, without much success, wrote the 19th century French mathematician Henry Poincaré. Disgusted with my failure, I went to spend a few days at the seaside. There, as he walked on a bluff above the ocean one morning, the insight suddenly came to him that the arithmetical transformations of inter what in oh my goodness indeterminate ternary quadratic forms. All right, you know what I'm saying, boy. They hitting us with some. I hear police sirens going off. They like, boy, you don't know that word. All right, I'm just gonna write this whole phrase down. This might be a whole lesson in quadratic theory. Ter Ternary quadratic forms. I'm gonna put that in parentheses. We do that just to get a little bit of context as to like what are y'all talking about. This might be a long one, y'all. Indeterminate ternary indeterminate ternary quadratic forms were identical with those of non Euclidean geometry. Here we go, bro. Oh my god. Now y'all can sit out there and act like you don't know what Euclidean means. All right, bro. Define it right now in the comments. Yeah, right now. Go ahead. And you know what? I'm gonna post this, and hopefully I can post it live, because then I can see the live chat and be like, did nobody put nothing right then? It was silence. Google. Y'all was googling it. Euclidean, non-Euclidean. What is Euclidean geometry? Let alone what is non? All right, we getting off track. I hope people don't come here expecting to like get the audio book version. We getting the chastised version, let me tell you. Okay. The specifics of that proof do not matter here. Fortunately so. I cannot begin to understand the math myself. Now, this was in parentheses from the author of this book, but it's not in parentheses from me reading this book because I don't know what the last paragraph is talking about. Anyways, what's intriguing about this illumination is how it came to Poincare with brevity, suddenness, and immediate certainty. He was taken by surprise. The lure of creativity is riff. Now, this is a word. It's R-I-F-E. I'm not sure if it's rife or riff. The lure of creativity is rife with such accounts. Carl Gauss, a 18th and 19th century mathematician. I just got to pause. I am a 20th and 21st century living human being. I'm in 2 centuries, bruh. You know, the new gen, you was born in 19. Yeah, bruh. Yeah, you don't know nothing about the 20th century, bruh. Back when the times was good. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Carl Gauss, an 18th and 19th century mathematician, worked on proving a theorem for years with no solution. Then one day the answer came to him, pause, as a sudden flash of light. Yet I'm sorry for doing that. Yet he could not name the thread of thought that connected his years of hard work with that flash of insight. Why the puzzle? Our brain has two semi independent, largely separate mental systems. One has massive computing and operates constantly, purring away in quiet to solve our problems, surprising us with a sudden solution to complex pondering. Since it operates the beyond the horizon of conscious awareness, we are blind to its working. This system presents the fruit of its vast labors to us as thought. Oh, it this system presents the fruit of its vast labors to us as though This system presents the fruit of its vast labor to us as though out of nowhere and in a multitude of forms, from guiding the syntax of a sentence to constructing complex, full blown mathematical proofs. We're going to write down syntax because, boy, what the hell is a syntax? I'm going to write that down for show. So, syntax, Syntax, from guiding the syntax of a sentence to constructing complex, full blown mathematical proofs. This back of the mind attention typically comes to the center of focus when the unexpected happens. You're talking on your cell phone while driving. The driver part part of the back of the mind. And then suddenly a horn honk makes you realize the light has changed to green. Much of this system's neural wiring lies in the lower part of our brain, our subcortical circuitry. Now, we're not going to act like we know what subcortical means, so we're going to write that down. Root word cortical. Though its efforts break into awareness by notifying our neocortex. Where's that in your brain? Neocortex. Yeah. What part of the brain is the neocortex, bro? Somebody blowing that shit up. All right. Let's see. Neocortex, the brain's topmost layers. Oh, from below. Through their pondering, Poincare and Gauss reaped breakthroughs from the brain's lower layers. Bottom up has become the phrase of choice. Excuse me. Bottom up has become the phrase of choice in connective science, cognitive science, for such workings of this lower brain neural machinery. By the same token, top down refers to mental activity mainly within the neocortex that can monitor and impose its goal on the subcortical machinery. It's as though they were two minds at work. Let's explain the bottom up mind. It's faster in brain time, which operates in milliseconds, involuntary and automatic. It's always on. Intuitive, operating through networks of association. Impulsive, driven by emotions. Executor of our habitual routines and guide for our actions. Manager for our mental models of the world. But by contrast, the top down mind is and will always be slower, voluntary, effortful, the seat of self control, which can sometimes overpower automatic routines and mute emotional driven impulses, able to learn new models, make new plans, and take charge of our automatic repertoire to an extent. Voluntary attention, willpower, and intentional choice. And intentional choice. I just realized I'm like not even fucking blocking the sun. Voluntary action, willpower, and intentional choice are top down. Reflexive attention, impulse, and rote habit are bottom up, as is the attention captured by a stylish outfit or a nifty ad. So we're going to write that down because what is rote? How do you spell rote? R-O-T-E. I'm going to put in parentheses habit. Okay. When we choose to tune in to the beauty of a sunset, concentrate on what we're reading, or have a deep talk with someone, it's a top down shift. Our mind's eye plays out a continual dance between stimulus driven attention, capture, and voluntary directed focus. The bottom up system multitasks, scanning a profusion of inputs in parallel. Now, you tell me what profusion means, bro. Including features of our surroundings that have not yet come into full focus. It analyzes when our perpetual field before letting us know when it selects as relevant for us. I'm going to read that again. The bottom up system multitasks, scanning a profusion of inputs in parallel, including features of our surroundings that have not yet come into full focus. It analyzes what's in our perceptual field before letting us know what it selects as relevant for us. Our top down mind takes more time to deliberate on what it gets presented with, taking things one at a time and applying more thoughtful analysis. Through what amounts to an optical illusion of the mind, we take what's within our awareness to equal the whole of the mind's operations. But in fact, the vast majority of mental operations occur in the mind's backstage amid the purr of bottom up systems. Much, some say all, of what the top down mind believes it has chosen to focus on, think about, and do is actually plans dictated bottoms up. If this were a movie, psychologist Daniel Kahneman Riley, now this is a word that I've written down before and I need to look it up. Riley. WRYLY notes. The top down mind would be a supporting character who believes herself to be the hero. Dating back millions of years in evolution, the reflexive, quick acting, bottom up circuitry favors short term thinking, impulse, and speedy decisions. The top down circuits at the front and top of the brain are a. I'm going to take a little bit of time to, uh, allow for that background or distraction to just kind of run off in the distance. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was somebody that was absolutely dying in the porta potty just across the way, and it's very hard for me to stay attuned in my reading when someone's literally like vomiting from their orifices. You know what I'm saying? While I'm trying to have a nice, wholesome, civilized interaction with my audience, but it is what it is. I was sitting there trying to differentiate top down, bottom up, while somebody's fucking vomiting in the goddamn porta john. So, all right, the ghost is clear, if I must say. God damn. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Let me just, this was a really fascinating topic. Top down, bottom up. Hopefully, you guys are able to absorb what it is I'm saying, but I ain't gonna lie to you, dude. I'm barely understanding what I just read. Okay. Dating back millions of years in evolution, it's just the background distractions really mess me up. Like it's hard for me to be focused on what it is that I have it at hand, the task at hand, when I know there's someone literally behind me and I'm not turning. I'm not giving them any attention, but they're distracting me, bro. So, anyways, dating back millions of years in evolution, the reflexive, quick acting, bottom up circuitry and these flies, bro. Can you guys Yeah, we might have to take this series, you know what I'm saying? Like outside was like a good idea. I might have to put the green screen up, you know what I'm saying? We might have to just I might take a picture of this and then just put the green screen up and be like, damn, the sun never set. Yeah, man. Shit. All right. We're at about 20 minutes and I'm trying. Anyways. Dating back millions of years in evolution, the reflexive, quick acting bottom up circuitry favors short term thinking, impulse, and speedy decisions. The top down circuits at the front and top of the brain are a later addition. Their full maturation dating back mere hundreds of thousands of years. Top down wiring adds talents of self awareness and reflection, deliberation, and planning to our mind's repertoire. Wow. So the top down is actually something that came later. Interesting. Intentional top down focus offers the mind a lever to manage our brain. As we shift our attention from one task, plan, sensation, or the like to another, the related brain circuitry lights up. Bring to mind a happy memory of dancing, and the neurons for joy and movement spring to life. Recall the funeral of a loved one, and the circuitry of sadness activates. Mentally, rehearse a golf stroke, and the axons and dendrites that orchestrate those moves wire together a bit more strongly. I'm not gonna lie. What's an axon? I know what axon is. That's where I get my gas. Okay. Please sit at the back of the class. And a dendrite? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on. You telling me you know what that is? But we are catering to a very specific demographic, and I'm not gonna. All right. All right. And that orchestrate the moves and wire together a bit more strongly. The human brain counts among evolution's good enough but not perfect designs. The human brain counts among evolution's good enough but not perfect designs. The brain's more ancient bottom up systems apparently worked well for basic survival during most of human prehistory, but their design makes for some troubles today. In much of life, the older system holds sway, usually to our advantage, but sometimes to our detriment. Overspending, addictions, recklessly speeding drivers all count as signs of this system out of whack. The survival demands of early evolution packed our brains with preset bottom up programs for procreation and child rearing, for what's pleasurable and what's disgusting, for running from a threat or toward food, and the like. Fast forward to today's very different world. We so often need to navigate life top down, despite the constant undertow of bottom up whims and drives. Seems like these two are um, constantly conflicting with one another. A surprising factor constantly tips the balance toward bottom up. The brain economizes on energy. This ant is about to get crushed in chapter 3. If you don't get off this page soon, bro. The cognitive, oh, he got off. Cognitive efforts like learning to use your latest tech upgrade demand active attention at an energy cost. But the more we run through a once novel routine, they screw up. What? Bro. Oh, okay. What? Let me just read that again. Cognitive efforts like learning to use your latest tech upgrade demand active attention at an energy cost. But the more we run through a once novel routine, the more it morphs into rote habit. There it is again. And gets taken over by bottom up circuitry, particularly neural networks in the basal ganglia, a baseball sized mass nestled at the brain's bottom, just above the spinal cord. Boy, we done learned about axons, dendrites. Now they talking about damn basal ganja, the basal ganglia. It's nestled at the bottom of the brain near the spinal cord. I might even draw a little brain on here. The basal. We learn. The more we practice a routine, the more the basal ganglia take over from the other parts of the brain. The bottom slash top systems distribute mental tasks between them so we can make minimal efforts and get optimal results. As familiarity makes a routine easier, it gets passed off from the top to the bottom. Makes sense? The way we experience this neural transfer is that we need pay less attention and finally none as it becomes automatic. The peak of automatic, the peak of automatic, the auto, wow. The root word is automatic. Aut- automaticity, automaticity. Wow. The peak of automaticity, the peak of automaticity. We learning. Round of applause to me. The peak of automaticity. How that just rolls off. Sheer automaticity. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait to hit somebody with this out in public, bro. I'm just trying to think who's gonna be my first victim on some of these words. You know what I'm saying? Wow, your axons and dendrites surely firing, aren't they? Let me hit somebody with that on the golf course, boy. Absolutely, boy. I'm sorry. I'm just focused, bro. Um, it's funny because like sometimes I'll be speaking to somebody and it's like in given context. Sometimes I'm like, "Ooh, this is the perfect time to use this word." Yes, you know what I mean? It's hard to describe. Hard to describe that feeling, you know. All right, let's see. Where was I? These ants killing me, boy. Where was I? Okay, the peak of automaticity can be seen. The peak of automaticity, automaticity, the peak of the peak of automaticity, the peak of automaticity. That's what the word is. The peak of automaticity, the peak of automaticity, the peak of automaticity, the peak of automaticity. The peak of automaticity. Bro, this one is, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. This one's kicking my teeth in. The peak of automaticity can be seen when expertise pays off in effortless attention to high demand. Whether a master level chess match, a NASCAR race, or rendering an oil painting. If we haven't practiced enough, all of these will make deliberate focus. All of these will take deliberate focus. Kind of like reading. But we have mastered this requisite. Okay, but we have mastered the requisite. I think that's what that says, but we have mastered the requisite or requisite skills to a level that meets the demand. They will take no extra cognitive effort, freeing our attention for the extras seen only among those at top levels. Hmm. As world class champions attest, at the topmost levels, where your opponents have practiced about as many thousands of hours as you have, any competition becomes a mental game. Your mind state determines how well you can focus, and so how well you can do at the world class level. The more you can relax and trust in bottom up moves, the more you free up your mind to be nimble. Take, for example, star football quarterbacks who have what sports analysts call great ability to see the field. They can read the other team's defensive formations to sense the opponent's intentions to move. And once the play starts, instantly adjust those movements, gaining a priceless second or two to pick out an open receiver for a pass. Such seeing, such seeing requires enormous practice, so that what at first requires much attention, dodge the rusher, occurs on automatic. Automaticity. Boy, that one was kicking my teeth in, let me tell you. From a mental computation perspective, spotting a receiver while under pressure of several 250-pound bodies hurtling toward you from various angles is no small feat. The quarterback has to keep in mind the pass routes of several potential receivers at the same time. He processes and responds to the moves of all 11 opposing players. A challenge best managed. Boy, this son cooking your boy neck. A challenge best managed. We finna get out of here. A challenge best managed by well practiced bottom up circuits, and one that would be overwhelming if he had to consciously think through each move. Boy, wouldn't that be a task? That's why, people be like, I can do that. I could have done that. Yeah, right, bro. You ain't Tom Brady. You think you Tom Brady because you be playing Madden. But you not down there ducking and dodging. 250-pound Olympic athletes, really. So, recipe for a screw up. Lolo Jones was winning the women's 100-meter hurdles race on her way to a gold medal at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. In the lead, she was clearing the hurdles with an effortless rhythm until something went wrong. At first, it was very subtle. She had a sense that the hurdles were coming at her too fast. With that, Jones had the thought, make sure you don't get sloppy in your technique. Make sure your legs are snapping out. With those thoughts, she overtried, tightening up a bit too much, and hit the ninth hurdle of 10. Jones finished seventh, not first, and collapsed on the track in tears. Looking back, as she was about to try again in 2012 London Olympics, um, where she eventually finished fourth in the 100-meter race. Jones could recall that earlier moment of defeat with crystal clarity. And if you ask neuroscientists, they could diagnose the error with equal certainty. When she began to think about the details of her technique, instead of just leaving the job to the motor circuits that had practiced these moves to mastery, Jones has shifted from relying on her bottom up system, the one that we have had since prehistoric evolution, to interference from the top, a latter addition to our neural circuitry. Brain studies find that having a champion athlete start pondering technique before performance offers a sure recipe for a screw up. When top soccer players raced the ball around and through a line of and had to notice which side of their foot was controlling the ball, they made more errors. The same happened when baseball players tried to track whether their bat was moving up or down during a swing for a pitched ball. The motor cortex, which in a well seasoned athlete has these moves deeply etched in its circuits from thousands of hours of practice, operates best whenever it's left alone. When the prefrontal cortex activates, we start thinking about how we're doing, how to do what we're doing, or worse, what not to do. The brain gives over some control to circuits that know how to think and worry, but not how to deliver the move itself. Whether in the 100 meters of whether in the 100 meters, soccer or baseball, it's a universal recipe for tripping up. That's why, as Rick Aberman, who directs peak performance for Minnesota Twins baseball team, he tells me, when the coach reviews plays for a game and only focuses on what not to do next time, it's a recipe for players to choke. It's not just sports. Making love comes to mind as another activity where getting too analytic and self critical gets in the way. A journal article on the ironic effects of trying to relax under stress suggests still another. Relaxation and making love go best when you just let them happen, not try to force them. The parasympathetic nervous system. Now you can act like you understand parasympathetic nervous system. Oh, you act like you know what that is. I'm not. Keep it real, bro. When the parasympathetic nervous system, which kicks in during these activities, ordinarily acts independently of our brain's executive, which thinks about them. I skipped some words. The parasympathetic nervous system, which kicks in during these activities, ordinarily acts independent of the brain's executive, which thinks about them. Ah, understood. Edgar Allan Poe dubbed the unfortunate mental tendency to bring up some sensitive topic you resolved, not to mention the imp of the perverse. An article fittingly called How to Think, Say, or Do Precisely the Worst Thing on Any Occasion by Harvard psychologist Daniel Wegner explains the cognitive mechanism that animates that imp. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's IMP. Imp. I don't know what an imp is. Oh. The imp of the perverse. It's almost like the mistake, or like the Achilles or the crutch, the misstep of the perverse. I'm just gonna put that. Flubs. Now, is that a word? Flubs. Wegner has found. I don't know who Flubs is, bro. I don't know if Flubs is a word or if that's a name. Going on the list. Flubs. Okay, Flubs, comma. Wagner has found, comma, escalate to the degree we are distracted, stressed, and otherwise mentally burdened. In those circumstances, sorry, in those circumstances, a cognitive control system that ordinarily sometimes, you just got to hit them with the full 360. Look, a little bit of attention deficit disorder going on here. Yes, yeah, we just want to make sure. Just make sure we good. Anyways, where was I, bro? Flubs. Yeah, flubs. Okay, here we go. Flubs, Wegner has found, escalate to the degree we are distracted, stressed, and otherwise mentally burdened. In those circumstances, a cognitive control system that ordinarily monitors errors we might make, like don't mention that topic, can inadvertently act as mental prime, increasing the likelihood of that very mistake, like mentioning that topic. When Wagner has had experimental volunteers try not to think of a particular word, when they then are pressured to respond quickly to a word association task, ironically, they often offer up the same forbidden word. Overloading attention shrieks mental control. It's in the moments we feel most stressed that we forget the names of people we know well, not to mention their birthdays, our anniversaries, and other socially crucial data. Another example, obesity. Researchers find that the prevalence of obesity in the United States over the last 30 years tracks the explosion of computers and tech gadgets in people's lives, and suspect this is no accidental correlation. Life immersed in digital distractions create a near constant cognitive overload, and that overload wears out self control. Wow. Forget that resolve to diet. Lost in the digital world, we mindlessly reach for Pringles. Wow, the bottom up skew. A survey of psychologists asked them if they might be one if there might be one nagging thing that they did not understand about themselves. Hmm. One said that for 2 decades he had studied how gloomy weather makes one's whole life look bleak, unless you become aware of how the gloom worsens your mood. But that, even though he understood all that, gloomy skies still made him feel bad. Another was puzzled by his compulsion to write papers that show how research is badly misguided and how he continues to do so even though none of the relevant researchers has paid much attention. And a third sat another and a third said that though he had studied male sexual over perception bias, the misinterpretation of a woman's friendliness as romantic interest, he still succumbs to the bias. Mm. Male sexual over perception bias, the misinterpretation of a woman's friendliness as romantic interest, but he still succumbs. Sorry, I'm in the middle of my in the middle of my reading, so I gotta get to it. Let's see. Sorry. Okay, still alive. Okay. Okay. The bottom up circuitry learns voraciously and quietly. We're gonna write voraciously now because although the bottom up circuitry learns voraciously and quietly, taking in lessons continually as we go through the day. Such implicit learning need never enter our awareness, though it acts as a rudder in life nonetheless, for better or for worse. The automatic system works well most of the time. We know what's going on and what to do and can meander through the demands of the day well enough while we think about other things. But this system has weaknesses too. Our emotions and our motives create skews and biases in our attention that we typically don't notice and don't notice that we don't notice. Take social anxiety in general. Anxious people fixate on anything, even vaguely threatening. Those with social anxiety compulsively spot the least sign of rejection, such as fleeting expressions of disgust on someone's face, a reflection of their habitual assumption that they will be social flops. Most of this emotional transaction goes on goes on out. Most of this emotional transaction goes on out of awareness, goes on out of awareness, leading people to avoid situations where they might get anxious. An ingenious method, we're going to write down ingenious, even though we've we know it in context. But what's the actual definition? An ingenious method for remedying this bottom up skew is so subtle that people have no idea that their attention patterns are being rewired. Just as they had no idea that wiring was going on as they acquired it in the first place, called cognitive bias modification, or CBM, not ICBM. Big up to North Korea. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, this invisible theory, this invisible therapy had those suffering from several social anxiety look at photos of an audience while they are asked to track when flashing patterns of light appear and press a button as quickly as they can. Flashes never appear in the area. Oh God, something was biting me. No, flashes never appear in the area of the pictures that are threatening, like frowning faces. Though this intervention stays beneath their awareness. Over the course of several sessions, the bottom up circuitry learns to direct attention to non threatening cues. Though people haven't a clue about the subtle repatterning of attention, their anxiety in social situations dials down. Wow, that's an interesting modification. That's a benign use of this circuitry. Then there's advertising, the old school tactics for getting attention in a crowded market. What's new? Improved, surprising, still work. But a mini industry of brain studies in the service of marketing has led to tactics based on manipulating our unconscious mind. One such study found, for example, that if you show people luxury items or just have them think about luxury goods, they become more self centered in their decisions. One of the most active areas of research on unconscious choice centers on what gets us to reach for some product when we shop. Marketers want to know how to mobilize our bottom up brain. Marketing research finds, for instance, that when people are shown a drink along with happy faces that flit across a screen too rapidly to be registered consciously, but nonetheless are noticed by the bottom up systems, they drink more than when those fleeting images are angry faces. A review of such research concludes that people are massively unaware of these subtle marketing forces, even as they shape how we shop. Bottom up awareness makes us suckers for subconscious primes. Life today seems ruled to a troubling degree by impulse. A flood of ads drives us, bottom up, to desire a sea of goods and spend today without regard to how we will pay tomorrow. The reign of impulse for many goes beyond overspending and overborrowing to overeating and other addictive habits, from binging Twizzlers and pop to spending countless hours staring at one or another variety of digital screen. Neural hijacks. A couple more pages we're going to push through. This will probably be exceeding 1 hour, just to give you guys a heads up. Neural hijacks. Walk into someone's office. What's the first thing you notice? That's a clue to what's driving your bottom up. My bad. Acorn fell out the tree. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very unique sound. I don't know if you noticed how my head swiveled right to where I heard it. I don't need nothing coming about these woods, bro. I think I'm good though. Like, if anything were to come, I got enough 1-2 in me. You know what I'm saying? Just I'm going around this table, going up the tree, coming back down the tree, jumping that little fence, getting on top of the car, and screaming for my life. Okay, I already got this planned out. I'm in slides, so I'm a little bit at a disadvantage, but my feet hurt. Just trying to relax. Walk into someone's office, and what's the first thing you notice? That's a clue. It's driving your bottom up focus in that moment. Hopefully, this thing's picking up the damn audio. I just thought about it. Um, The mic has been further down and it's super windy. Ugh. Anyways, that's a clue for what's driving bottom up focus in that moment. If you're set on a financial goal, you might immediately take in an earnings graph on the computer screen. If you have an, oh my God, oof, I, if you have an arachnophobia, you'll fixate on the dusty web in the corner of the window. Those are subconscious choices in attention. Such attention captures capture such attention capture occurs when the amygdala circuitry, where's the amygdala? The amygdala circuitry, the brain's sentinel for emotional meaning, spots something and finds significant. I'm just gonna write that down. The amygdala is the brain's sentinel. It's an interesting way of putting it. Such attention occurs when the amygdala circuitry, the brain's sentinel for emotional meaning, spots something it finds significant. An oversized insect, wraithful look, or okay, let's not act like we know what wraithful means. Just because, that's the thing. Just because I read it and it sounds right and it sounds as though I have context, but I don't know the actual definition. A wraithful look or cute toddler gives an idea of the brain settings for such instinctual interests. This midbrain fixture of the bottom up system reacts far more quickly in neural time than does the top down prefrontal area. It sends signals upward to activate higher cortical or yeah, cortical pathways to alert the relatively sluggish executive centers to wake up and pay attention. Our brain's attention mechanisms evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to survive in a fang and claw jungle where threats approached our ancestors within a specific visual range and set of rates, somewhere around the lunge of a snake and the speed of a leaping tiger. Those of our ancestors whose amygdala were quick enough to help dodge the snake and evade the tiger passed on their neural design to us. Shout out to them. Snakes and spiders, two animals that human brain seems primed to notice with alert, capture attention even when their images are flashed so fast we have no conscious awareness of having seen them. The bottom up circuits spot them more quickly than neutral objects and flash, send an alarm. Flash those images by an expert of snakes and spiders, and she will still have attention capture, but no alarm signal. The brain finds it impossible to ignore emotional faces, particularly furious. Angry faces are super salients. Oh, sorry. Angry faces have super salience. Yeah, we're gonna have to take some time to define these. So this list is excessive, bro. Angry faces have super salience. Scan a crowd, and someone with an angry face will pop out. The bottom brain will even spot a cartoon with V-shaped eyebrows, like the kids in South Park, more quickly than it spots a happy face. We are wired to pay reflexive attention to supernormal stimuli, whether for safety, nutrition, or sex, like a cat that can't help chasing a fake mouse on the stream. In today's world, ads that play on those same pre-wired inclinations tug at us bottom up. Two, um, getting our reflexive attention. Just tie sex or prestige to a product to activate the same circuits. to prime us to buy for reasons we don't even notice. Our particular proclivities make us all the more vulnerable. That's why alcoholics are riveted by vodka ads, randy folks by the sexy people in a spot for a vacation getaway. I've never heard the term randy folks. What the heck is who are randy folks? I need to write this more clearly because the sun is off my switch over. This is a bottom up pre-selected attention. This is pre this is bottom up pre-selected attention. Such capture from below is automatic and an involuntary choice. We're most prone to emotions driving focus this way when our minds are wandering. When we are distracted and we're overwhelmed by information, or all three, then there are emotions gone wild. I was writing this very section yesterday, sitting at my desktop, when out of the blue, I had a crippling attack in my lower back pain. Maybe not out of nowhere, it had been building quietly since morning. But then as I sat in my desk, it suddenly ripped through my body. From my from my lower spine straight up to the pain centers of my brain. When I tried to stand, the bolt of pain was so when I tried to stand, the bolt of pain was so severe I crumbled back into my chair. What's worse, what's worse, my mind started racing about the worst that might happen. I'll be crippled for the rest of my life. I'll have to get regular steroid injections. And that train of thought brought my panicked mind to recall that a fungus in a poorly run drug compounding facility had led to the death from menin, meningitis of 27 patients who had gotten those very injections. Ugh, yuck, yikes. As it happens, I had just deleted a block of text on a related point, which I intended to move to about here in this book. But my attention, in the grip of pain and worry, I completely forgot about it. And so it has vanished into a black hole. Such emotional hijacks are triggered by the amygdala, the brain's radar for threat, which constantly scans our surroundings for dangers. When these circuits spot a threat, or what we interpret as one, they are often mistaken. A superhighway of neuronal, neuronal circuitry running upward to the prefrontal areas sends a barrage of signals that let the lower brain drive the upper. Our attention arrows glued to what's upsetting us. Our memory reshuffles, making it easier to recall any relevance to the threat at hand. Our body goes into overdrive as a flood of stress hormones prepares our limbs to fight or run. We fixate on what's so disturbing and forget to rest. The stronger the emotion, the greater our fixation. Hijacks are super glue of attention, but the question is, how long does our focus stay captured? That depends, it turns out, on the power of the left prefrontal area to calm the aroused amygdala. There are two amygdalae, one in each part of the brain's hemisphere. The amygdala prefrontal neuronal superhighway has branches to the left and the right prefrontal sides. When we are hijacked, the amygdala circuitry captures the right side and takes over. But the left side can send signals downward to calm the hijack. Emotional resilience comes down to how quickly we recover from upsets. People who are highly resilient, who bounce back, who bounce back right away, can have as much as 30 times more activation in the left prefrontal area than those who are less resilient. The good news, as we'll see in part five, right now we're in part three, is that we can increase the strength of the amygdala calming left prefrontal circuitry. Now, life on automatic. My friend and I are wrapped. Here we go with wrapped in, bro. RAPT. You know what I'm saying? Like Lil Wayne wrapped. Like, no, bro. We talking about a whole nother type of wrapped. Oh, I got my car wrapped. No, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about a different kind. My present's wrapped. I didn't even know. Okay. My friend are wrapped in conversation in a busy restaurant. Nosy with what's behind me. I look like this. Can you see my eye? I look like this. I need a clear view as what the hell's behind me. It was nothing. It's just we almost done, y'all. My friend and I, the last page. My friend and I are wrapped in conversation in a busy restaurant toward the end of our lunch. He's immersed in his narrative, telling me about a particularly intense moment he's had recently. He's been so lost in telling me about it that he's not done with his food. His plate was cleared a while ago. At that point, the server comes to our table and asks, "Are you enjoying your lunch?" He barely notices her and mutters a dismissive "no, not yet," and continues on with the story without missing a beat. My friend's reply, of course, was not to what the server automatic was not what to what the server actually said, but rather to what waiters usually say at this point in the meal, like "Have you finished?" That small mistake typifies. Here we go again, bro. Typifies was yesterday. You know what I've noticed is sometimes some of these authors, there's just certain words that they just go to, and it's like the more you read, you're like, bro, your vocabulary it's not limited, but you have a very select way of describing certain things. I like that. That small mistake uh, typifies the downside of a life lived bottom up on automatic. We miss the moment as it actually comes to us, reacting instead to a fixed template of assumption about what's going on, and we miss the humor in the moment. Waiter, are you enjoying your lunch? Customer, no, not yet. Back in the day when there were often long lines in many offices as people waited to use a copier, Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer had people go to the head of the line and simply say, "I've got to make some copies." Of course, everyone else in line was there to make copies too, yet more often than not, the person at the head of the line would let Langer's Confederate go ahead. That, says Langer, exemplifies mindlessness, attention on automatic. An active attention, by contrast, might lead the person at the front of the line to question whether there really was some privileged, urgent need for those copies. Active engagement of attention signifies top down activity. Active engagement of attention signifies top down activity. An antidote to going through the day like a zombie like automaticity, 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 automaticity. Going through the day with zombie like Automaticity. 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 Yeah, that's right. Active engagement of attention signifies top down activity, an antidote to going through the day with zombie like automaticity. We can talk back to commercials, stay alert to what's happening around us, question automatic routines, or improve them. This focused, often goal oriented attention inhibits mindless mental habits. So while emotions can drive our attention with active effort, we can also manage emotions top down. Then the prefrontal areas take charge of the amygdala, tuning down its potency. An angry face or even that cute baby can fail to capture our attention when the circuits for top down control of attention takes over the brain's choices of what to ignore. Ooh, boy. Yep, that was a long one. Yet again, let me just give you the 3 minute feel at the end. We done. You can go ahead and click off. But these are the words from today. Ooh, got a couple of in short, in short, uh, automaticity, automaticity, automaticity. Boy, that one kicked my teeth in. Boy, that was probably the word of the day for sure. Um, arithmetical. That just how to say that is going to be interesting. There's syntax, rife, subcortical, neocortex, rote, habit, Riley notes, axons, dendrites, the basal ganglia. You know what I'm saying? Veros, veracious, veracious, veraciously. Come on, imp. Man, there's a couple more on here, but I mean, you get the point. That's just today. But anyways, this is how we spending. It's how we spending the Fourth of July weekend. Today's actually your boy's birthday, and yeah, this is what I like to do. I really don't celebrate many holidays, and I really don't even celebrate, my birth. I know it's another day. It's gonna be hard adjusting to the number change. It's kind of the same like beginning of a new year. You're just like it's 2020 what? It's 19 what? Um, but we'll get used to it. It's funny. The older I get, the more I just kind of pinch myself and just kind of just I think back to some of my earliest memories. I'm just like, man, life is nothing more than how do I word it? To me, life is being trapped in a perpetual experience. No instructions, in hopes that through all of your efforts, you'll eventually be able to explain it to someone. Yep. Imprisoned. But anywho, it's been fun. I talked to my my AI assistant, bro, and it's like I get to talking to him about life, bro. They hit me with the suicide hotline all the time. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to ask you some deep questions, bro. I ain't trying to. I don't need to. You know what I mean? I don't need you sending me over to the people, the 1-800 people. I'm just trying to talk to you, bro, or whatever the damn number is. My man get all serious. He be getting ready to respond, but if you need help, if you feel, I'm like, bro, come on, man. Can you answer the fucking question? I'm over here trying to ask you about eternity and shit. Yo ass over here. If you need a friend, I am merely a large language model and like, come on, you be copping out. Anyways, I'm over here venting about damn chat GPT and Copilot and shit. They be Claude. They be out here just yeah, copping fleas, bro. Spineless sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm like, what's your thoughts on this? I ain't saying I was gonna off myself. I was just saying, like, hey man, I just had some deep thoughts about this. I've experienced this. I've seen people do this. What are your thoughts on why they did that? Anyways, we're reading Dan and Goleman's Focused, and we're having a good time with it, man. We're having a good time with it. We are. Let's see, how far are we into the book? About 10%. Yeah, maybe less. All this damn notes they got at the back. Acknowledgments. Look how much acknowledgments and notes they got, bro. When I write a book, oh yeah, we finna let me. It's gonna be one name per page. Shout out to God. Shout out to Jesus. Shout out to Allah. You can put that on the same page. Shout out to the Torah. Shout out to the Holy Ghost. Like I'm finna get everybody a shout out. Shout out to the people in the suit. When I had to do KP duty, I'm about to just be naming people that is so irrelevant to my life today. Shout out to the person that parked while I was trying to read, the dude that was taking a duty today. You know what I'm saying? I'm just there's 50 it's over 50 pages of acknowledgments, bro. Are you serious? I'm not even making this up. Yeah. 59. 59 to 3. Hold on. To 312 is acknowledgments and notes. Come on, bro. You milking this on Amazon, bro. That's how y'all be getting these number one sellers. Y'all be putting a bunch of fluff in here. Nah, but this motivates me to want to write something, you know. But yeah, today was a good read. Anyways, like I said earlier, you should have clicked off. We just on this rant. Hey man, you see the brown coming through the hair? Hey man, that was the point. That was the point, man. A part of the silhouette. So I dyed it brown, but to the roots it's gonna be black. So like right now, all the way to like here, it is brown, right? It is Cheetos. You know what I'm saying? But give it, if I grow this for another 6 months, tough. Anyway, it's gonna have this tarantula look. It's like a very specific brown and black contrast that I like. Anyways, you guys are getting a little bit of insight into some of my thinking, but it's been nice. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I've been sitting for over an hour, so it's time to stretch the leg. Might throw on some shorts, might go for a run. I like to do these before the sun sets. So I still have a little bit more time in my day. I might go eat some of my birthday leftovers. And I need to drink some water. Just kind of relax. Got a lot of goals, a lot of things going on. But, not enough time in the day. So make the most of what you can and minimize the distractions. What that means, focus.